2024 काफी अच्छा अच्छा खासा एज है, कम एज में
Hello everyone, this is Abhay and I will be taking the session today. We will wait for a few minutes and we'll start. And please mute your mic. Okay, so let's start. I hope you're doing well. And today we'll discuss two topics. First one is a bit of theoretical, cyberterrorism, and then the next I have left one topic from the basics of networking OSI model. So we discuss a little bit about the OSI model. So there will be two agendas for today to discuss, and if you have any questions, I will be answering you in the last of Q&A session. Okay, and please put your mic mute. That will be very appropriate for me to conduct a session. Okay, so being an cybersecurity expert or analyst or every job that considers the cybersecurity and all the things, penetration testing, vulnerability assessments. So they are contained part of the theoretical documentations. So that's why we are dealing with the some theory part here. And we today will discuss broad spectrum of cyber terrorism. Okay, so before going to the main content, I have summarized few topics, few terms that maybe you are aware or you are not. Then if you are aware, then I will be rephrasing it. Okay, so here these are the terms, some basic terms. Please mute yourself. Yes. The first one is a physical world, as you see, where we really interact with the physical things and objects. So that will be very summarized way to do and think about it. Then we have the cyber world. So what do we understand exactly about the cyber world? So when I say cyber world, means it consider all the possibilities that comes with the networking and computer systems. Like if I talk about today's cyber world, it considers network, it considers systems, and the system can be anything like devices, endpoint devices, or networking devices, or security devices. Okay, and we have also a word like virtual world. It's a synonym for the cyber world, but a different aspect. And next we have all the connections. Okay, and with the summarization we call it internet, where it all considered is a part of the internet network system and virtual systems and all the things. So cyber word is a word where we interact in the social medias, where we connect to the peoples, where we send our informations, where we gain access to the systems or data or informations. Okay, so that will be considering in a virtual way all the things like we are doing work from home and all the things. So without this kind of cyber word definitions, you cannot be able to access all the things. Like you are in India and you are accessing the Oxford websites. Okay, you are in the Africa and you are accessing the Delhi University content and all the things. So these are the possibilities that you can do. But with the benefits of the cyber world, it gains also the some losses. We will discuss there that what are the losses and what are the disadvantages of the cyber world, because every technology considers some drawbacks in it. And next we have prevention. You have always heard about the prevention is better than cure, and we also imply it in the cyber security and cyber world. Like whenever a virus is spread out, like if I talk about the ransomware. Okay, and the biggest attack of ransomware was 2017. Okay, and so what are these kind of the attacks? Like if we have better systems, if we have better quality assessment, and we have developed a better policy, then we cannot be the target or the victim for these kind of attacks. So with the help of prevention, means maintaining better policies and equipping your network with the next generation firewalls and all the advanced security systems that has been developed by Cisco and different vendors. So that will be considered as a prevention. Okay, prevention we do because we have a fear of, we are seeing in the cyber world that everywhere we see like USA versus Russia. There are different kind of black hat groups like Anonymous and all the things. So they are taking sides to each other. So that will be very different considerations. Like you are a part of the organizations, or you are an employee of the organizations. So suppose you are an employee of the organizations and the organization is the actual target, but you are a part of it, then you will be a target also. So that kind of things to discuss that we need to prevent things to happen. Like we have to consider all the possibilities, and we have to uh, take every step very precautiously. Then we have a risk mitigation. Next, risk mitigation means whenever any attack that has happened before, then what are the damages that the attack has done. So in this risk mitigation, we minimize the impact of the threats and attacks. And recovery after the attack, whatever things that we can actually save after the attack or during the attack, then we can consider in the recovery. And there is a very vague term like data and information. So if you go to the internet and search data is defined in a various way. So from me, data is something that like you don't have any meaning for it has any meaning for you, kind of a mix like one to a special character, something like that. So if you receive these kind of files, this is a data. It doesn't have any meaning. But if I talk about information in simpler way, so that will be like a b c d. So it has some meanings, like it is a capital alphabets of the English language. So that will be the information. So as like it has some meanings, that it will be information. And next is a privacy. So privacy is a more major term to understand. Like privacy does what? It identifies any individual. Okay, I call it PII, personal identifiable information. So that considers a privacy. Suppose your Facebook post and all the updates. Suppose your banking credentials, your email credentials, and your next week plans, your hotel bookings, and all the things that can be considered in the privacy. The data that can identifies you as a individual. So that will be considered as a privacy. And next we have anonymity. Anonymity means suppose we are accessing the internet and we want our identities to be anonymous. So we use these kind of terms, and we use VPNs and all the things that can happen as a access to an anonymous user. So VPN helps it to be the anonymous and in the internet. And these are the very basic terms. Maybe you all have heard about it. And next we have a definition for the cyber terrorism and terrorism. So generally the terrorism is an act committed by individual or any organizations or any group that is associated or is inspired by the organizations, nations, or any individuals. So that is a very basic term that we heard about the terrorism. But when we talk about cyber terrorism, the word brings itself like a computer, internet, and all the things that falls in the category of cyber world, because it is a domain. And whenever a crime or terrorism done by a computer or related systems like in the internet and all the things, so that can be considered as a terrorism, where it uses the internet to conduct a violent act that result in the or threaten or loss of life significantly. So all the things are like these kind of things can be done for the achieving political goals or ideological gains through threat or intimidations. So that can be considered as a cyber crime, cyber terrorism. And next we have the actual questions that who are the actual attackers. and we have things in the list like first amateur, then professional hackers, disgruntled employees, cyber criminals, and cyber terrorist group. So first, the amateurs is a something like a kidal hacker that have a tool or something, and he is using to exploit some services and functions to his neighborhood or some particular websites. So that can be very initial phase of the attacker. But in the professional hacker, uh, it has the ability to disrupt, deny, and all the things that can he do by his professional services. And next we have disgruntled employees. Suppose आप कोई एक एम्प्लॉय है जो किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में वर्क करता है, ठीक है, और वो उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए अच्छा नहीं सोचता, ठीक है, he has a negative perspective for the organization. So this kind of attacker can be that kind of employees. Okay, next we have a cyber criminals. साइबर क्रिमिनल्स आपके इंडिविजुअल भी हो सकते हैं, ग्रुप्स भी हो सकते हैं, ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस भी हो सकती हैं. अगर साइबर क्रिमिनल्स का कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं, सो दैट कैन आल्सो बी कॉल्ड साइबर टेररिस्ट ग्रुप. Okay, so there is a crime and there is a terrorism. So they are very different terms. If you need to understand by the perspective of law, so a crime is something that is done to any individual or something a personal gain. But for the terrorism, it is not very personal. It is for the geological perspective or political perspective, or targeting any nations or any continental, something like that. So it is a very broad term to understand by different perspectives. So I will not be discussing these kind of things here. Next we have our data here, and we have 0.1% world-class cyber criminals. This is the data, and it is considered by the 100,000 hackers worldwide. Okay, 90% आपके जो hackers हैं वो क्या हैं? Amateurs हैं, and 9.9% आपके जो hackers हैं वो क्या हैं? Potential professional hackers हैं. But जो आपके world-class hackers हैं उनकी जो है percentage क्या है? 0.1%. Means they are very few. You can go and search these kind of things in groups. You can find many things and many articles for the knowledge. And these are the very basic motivations for the cyber terrorism. Why they do? This is the questions. Why the attacker attacks to someone, to something, to gain access and perspective and all the things. So there are generally 4 goals that I have been categorized here. To destroy enemies' operational capabilities. We are talking about nation-wise, continental-wise, and all the political and geological things, because we are talking about terrorism. But when we talk about crimes, then it can be for any individual person, for any company, and all the things. Okay, to destroy any enemy operational capabilities, or to destroy or misrepresent the reputation of any organization. Suppose if any company has a better reputations like Dell and HP and all the things. Okay, so इनके रेपुटेशन को खराब करने के लिए या मिस इंटरप्रेट करने के लिए कोई इन्फॉर्मेशंस को, ठीक है, इस तरह से ये भी जो है पर्सपेक्टिव हो सकते हैं अटैक करने के, ठीक है. दीज आर द मोटिवेशंस. और कोई आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हो, ठीक है, उनके लिए रिमर्स फैलाना या मिस इंटरप्रेट करना या उनकी इंफॉर्मेशंस को मिस रिप्रेजेंट करना, ठीक है, या कोई नेशंस हो, कोई जो कंट्रीज हैं उनके जो अलायंस हैं उनको ब्रेक करने के लिए यूज करना. Suppose 2 countries are having alliance and there is a news or there is a rumor distributed by the cyber terrorism, and after that maybe the alliance will not hold again and all the things. And next we have to persuade those attacks to change the affiliations, and to demonstrate their own followers that they are capable in or inflicting the significant harms to their targets. Suppose अगर कोई ऐसा ग्रुप है, anonymous group, और there are many kind of groups. So अगर ऐसा ग्रुप है तो कभी-कभी क्या करते हैं कि उनका कोई ऐसे इंटेंशन नहीं होता, बट वो क्या करते हैं, इस तरह का अटैक परफॉर्म करते हैं। क्यों? क्योंकि वो डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करना चाहते हैं कि हाउ मच पावर दे हैव एग्जैक्टली। Okay, if they do not show their power, their capabilities, so they they will not be remembered. So to be famous or uh, for that, they have to demonstrate some kind of things. So sometimes they don't have any intention or any target, but they do things like that. And some common traits of the cyber terrorism. Okay, the most common objective for the cyber terrorism is to damage or destroy the specific target. And target can be an organizations, any industry, any sector of work like automobile sectors and IT sectors and marketing sectors, all the things, and economy of any country, or just to make an impact on individual target. Okay, so these are the स्पेसिफिक टारगेट्स। अगर आप डेटा जो है फाइंड करते हो, ठीक है, जो भी अभी के साइबर टेररिज्म हो चुके हैं अभी तक की जो लिस्ट में है 2001 से 2020 तक में, अगर आप उनमें देखोगे तो इस तरह के आपके जो अटैक्स हैं जिनमें कंसिडर किया गया ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को, पर्टिकुलर इंडस्ट्री को, सेक्टर को, या किसी कंट्री की इकोनॉमी को, तो इस तरह के आपके अटैक्स ज्यादा मिलते हैं इन कंपेरिजन टू अटैक ऑन एनी इंडिविजुअल और एनी स्मॉल कंपनी। And next we have these kind of hackers. First we have simple and unstructured, then we have advanced and structured, then we have complex and coordinated. So in simple and unstructured, so this kind of attack have the capability to go against any individual systems to create impact on a single little target. Okay, suppose there are some small organizations, and if you want to have access, or if you want to conduct a basic hack, so that can be considered in the simple unstructured attack. But when I talk about the advanced and structured, so it has the capability to conduct a sophisticated attack, a complex attack against the multiple systems or network, and possibly to what motive? To modify, to create a basic hacking tools and all the things. So this is the advanced structured system. And third, we have complex and coordinated attacks. So in this attack, they are very complex and coordinated. And to do what? They are capable of causing mass disruptions against any integrated and heterogeneous defenses. Suppose target is a country, or target is a continental, or something. So this kind of attack can be performed for that kind of perspective. Next, we have these kind of goals: incursion, destruction, disinformation, denial of service. I think you have heard about this, denial of service, and defacement of websites. So these are the goals. These are the actual goals. How do they do it? They sometimes they do for the incursion and destruction, disinformation, denial of service, and defacement of the websites. So the first one is incursion. Incursion is a kind of attack where the purpose is to gain access or a penetration into any computer systems or a network. Suppose if any person is trying to get any information from any any organizations, so that can be considered into the incursion. And the methods of the incursion is very common and widely used, like MITM and phishing and all the things. So in basic company that are not having a very advanced defenses for their network, so there are many loopholes existing in the insecure computer systems and network, so that terrorist or attacker or any professional can get the advantage of being a network weak, and it can intrude and infiltrate all the document and change or modify it whatever he wants. So it can be considered in the incursion. Then we have destruction. In destruction, it is a method of intruding a computer systems or network, and the main purpose of the destruction is to do a severe damage or destroying all the things. Suppose there is any target, like any organization or any particular company. So if we go with this goal, means the attacker wants to destroy all the files, all the information that currently the company holding. So that will be a goal for the destruction. Then next we have disinformations. It is a method used for spreading rumors and information that can severe impact to the particular target. Suppose there is any organization or any company like HP, a laptop company, okay, and somehow they hacked their website and posted any different offer or any different kind of product or any misinformation or any rumor. So that will misinterpret the brand value and reduce the value of the HP. So that's how they do the disinformations. Suppose there is any university and somehow they gained access about the website of the university, so they can post anything they want. So for that, the reputation of the university can be affected for that kind of attack. Next, we have denial of service. So denial of service is generally used for the negativity of the availability. Like suppose any company have a services like do any operations, and it can accept 500 requests per second, something like that. Suppose any company and has some services, and it can only accept 500 requests per second. But when we use denial of service, or when any professional use denial of service, what he will do or she will do, she will increase the request limit. Sorry, she will use the bots and all the network equipments, and it will send the fake request to the servers of the company, and server will think like it is a genuine request, and it will be busy for servicing the fake request. But when the any actual customer or consumer for the company will send the request, it will not be fulfilled or entertained, because the company server already having 500 requests per second. So after that, it cannot hold, because it is the limit for the server. So for some times, the company server will be unavailable for their precious users. So it will impact their brand values and all the things, and they will move to the different vendor and different organizations for their services. So that's how they reduce the wealth and power of the brand. So that's how we use the denial of services. And next we have defacement of the website. This is the type of attack is targeted to the deface the website of the victims. Suppose any organization or any university having a official website, and if any professional or any hacker get access about that website, so he can post anything, he can spread any rumor, he can if he got the Twitter handle too, he can tweet anything about the university. So that will not be very appropriate for the university reputations. So we call it defacement of the websites. Next, we have the effects of cyber terrorism on national infrastructures. Suppose the target is the country. Okay, so in scenario one, we have a operational utility company. What it do? It does the electric distribution for the critical businesses. But when anyone or any organization, any group of terrorists got the access about the electrical distributions, so they can disrupt all the supplies and technical scenarios, and they can disrupt the particular area and particular businesses. And what kind of infrastructures that national any country or any nationality can have, like water supplies, military operations, financials, banking institutions, schools and universities, hospitals and others, and electrical and telecommunications. So these are the very basic needs for the countries, and if they can be hacked, so all the things will be disrupted for the individual of the country. And in scenario two, If cyber terrorists who are interested to gain access to the some publicly released network worms and virus targeted to disable the operation of critical financial institution after identifying the major weaknesses. Suppose for the stock market or the for the any funding organizations and for the financial terms, if it is being disabled by any attacker or hackers, so it will be very bad impact for the country's economy. So that can also be considered as a cyber terrorism attack. And in scenario 3, suppose terrorist manages to disrupt air traffic controls, causing the controller to be unable to direct the airplanes in the required manner. Suppose they got control about the any airline and services, so they can disrupt all the things landing and flying the airplanes, and they might lose control and all the things. So this can also be considered as a cyber terrorist attack. Next, there is also if any person or any individual is a victim of any cyber terrorism attack, so it can also be under psychological effects of the cyber terrorism to the humans. So suppose any person is a part of any organization and organization is the target for any particular terrorist group. So maybe it will harm you individually. So you can be stressed in the psychological manner. So we have the companies have some policies to deal with that also. Next, we have some strategies how to deal with that. Pursue and prosecute the perpetrators. We have to pursue all the investigations and cyber forensics to find who who created the attack and who perform all the things, and we have to prosecute and pursue the cases. And second, develop best security practices. Suppose a company that does not have any cybersecurity specialist and analyst, so they can hire one that the person deals with all the security things, and it will be very effective for the cyber terrorist attacks. Next, be proactive. Update your devices, update and create good policies for your companies. Okay, and have a latest information about threats and vulnerabilities and all the incidents that are being held over the world. So so with that kind of help, suppose any attack that happened in the Russia or USA. So in India, right now it is not happening in India. But if you are proactive and aware, so maybe you will protect your system by knowing these kind of attacks that are happening somewhere else on the earth. Next, deploy vital security applications like firewalls, IDSs and IPSs, and install good antiviruses that will protect your systems and the network to being attacked. And next, establish businesses continuity and disaster recovery plans. Suppose the attack is now happened, and after that you don't have any recovery policies and all the things. So you have to create and maintain some kind of policy for the scenario. And cooperation with the various firms and working groups. So that kind of company that are not very related to the IT industry and all the things, so that have to have a cooperation or any kind of a contract for the cybersecurity company, so they can have access to all the things, and they will make sure that the company will not be targeted for the cyber attacks. Next, what we can do, we can increase the security awarenesses to our members, to our employees, because most of the attacks in the organizations are happened by the human errors. Okay, so we can increase the awarenesses and all the things. So in that way, we can reduce the risk to being attacked. I think you have heard about the social engineering and all the things. So social engineering is what? It's just to target the human errors and flaws. Next, we can create a law for inter-organization and inter-organizations and create a stricter. So that's how you can reduce your risk to being attacked. And the next, we have Encourage research and development for the security advances. So that in that way, you will have the greater updates and prevention for the attacks. So next, I have attached an image here. So this is the structure of the internet. Uh, this is the 4%, we call it surface web, and this is the 96%, we call it deep web. Generally, your Google and whatever the search engines you are using right now, Yahoo, Google, Bing, and all the things, they can only access 4%. So there is a term, crawler. Crawler is the actual software running behind your search engines. What it does, it does an index all the website that you are searching for. So these are the 4% that only will be indexed in your mobile phones and your computer. But when I talk about the deep web, so these cannot be indexed by any normal search engines. It can be accessed by any particular applications, specific URLs, or it can be also used for the medical and legal document records and any company's informations. Yes, Spider is a kind of web crawler. Web crawler is an umbrella. Spider, Google uses Spider. Okay, and there is another term also, we call it dark web here. It also like 10% here. Okay. No, deep web does not use any crawlers, because crawlers is generally used for that kind of services that are available openly to the internet. And the functions of the crawler is very basic, to index all the things, and they have many work, like they have to create a preference according to your geological locations and your ISP services, all the things. So after that algorithm, you can have the answer for your indexing services. And deep web is a part of the dark web is a part of the deep web. You can consider like 3 or 4%, or you can also consider 10%. The actual estimation for that is not even published here. Okay, so generally in dark web, the illegal activities, like you have heard about the red rooms and the cyber pornographies, assassinations, dealings, and all the things, and all the black market purchases and drug services. So that kind of things held in the dark web, and it cannot be accessed by any simple web browsers and search engines. And these websites have some kind of a special URLs. Okay. Yes, onion proxy is a thing to access the dark web and deep web. But with the help of onion proxy, you have to have a kind of a credential or a URL, the exact URL that will help you to access that kind of thing. And I will not recommend it to you that you can you should access these kind of things. But for the study purpose, I have to express all the points here. Yes. There is a term, I think you have heard about it. Tor, everyone knows Tor. Okay. The onion routing. Okay. What it does, it creates an identity that is anonymous for the user, and you can access the things that are behind the internet, deep web and dark web. But generally, I must recommend you to use the VPN with the onion routing for accessing that kind of services, and use it for the learning and education purposes only. And these are the services for the open web. They are visible to the normal search engines. Okay, and the other 4 to 5%. And what are the domains for that? Like .com and .org is the basic content for the surface webs. And next we have deep web. In deep web, like any country's database or any government documents and all the things. The Tor works in a similar way like the VPN does. Okay, so it generally proxy your presence on the internet, and it will create your anonymous identity. Whenever you install the Tor browser, you can see your IP, actual IP, and the provided IP that is currently provided to you by the American server, by the Australian server, and the proxy servers. So you can choose also the countries, and you can surf again, like you want to access the content of the USA, but currently your Tor browser is running, proxy server is running from the Russia or China. So you can change, you can refresh it again, you can change it again. So you can set also the country's name for that. Okay, so I don't have the Tor browser now. Otherwise, I will show you. I had to show you. Next, we have these kind of databases are generally saved for the deep web, and the intranets, like the particular organizations talking to individual organizations. So for the intranet, for the private databases, we use deep web, and these kind of services like financial account and banking and retirement documents, email and social media accounts, private enterprise databases, sensitive informations, and legal files. So these kind of things are generally saved by the deep web. You cannot index these kind of information on the normal web browser. Security agencies, it's a different topic. I will entertain the question in the last of the session. Okay. So this is the dark web, the last one. It is a concealed portion of the deep web, somewhere in the middle of the deep. So generally, the first time these kind of services created by the ARPANET, defense of the USA. Okay, so they are generally created this for the secured communication. Okay, so they are communicating with the some kind of channel, but these kind of things are very decentralized from their creator and owner, and now it is 96% of the internet, and it does not have any control or any government security agencies generally, but particularly when you say like how security agencies surveillances these kind of websites. So generally any agency or any country does not totally surveillance these kind of activities, but sometimes they bust all the things. Okay, and there are different things. I will not be considering all the topics here. Okay, so for the dark web, we don't have any web page indexing here, and we use virtual traffic tunnels like VPNs, and these are the inaccessible for the traditional browsers. You cannot access on the Google and Safari web browsers. These are the activities that happened in the dark web, like doxing the VIP informations, okay, and payment cards on sales, and opening the fraud accounts, and doing the damage to any proprietary software source codes, okay, dumping any database of the companies. So these kind of things happens in the dark web. Impersonating any customer's account with the help of some templates, and tax fraud documents, and making the classified documents to public. Okay, so these kind of things that happen in the dark web, and governments do monitor these kind of activities, but generally they are not very capable to do things like that. And next we have these kind of attacks I have listed here: social engineering, phishing, spear phishing, smishing, tailgating, piggybacking malwares, ransomware, IoT threats, and anti-malware protection, data protection, privacy, device management, incident response, password management, patching updates, removable media, safe web browsing, and all the things. So these are the awareness. How can you deal with the particular targets? Like you should use the anti-malware protections, and you have to maintain your privacy, and you need to do some device management, and there are some applications for the incident response, and you can provide the IP security to your systems or any organizations. You can use password management applications, to maintain these kind of services. And timely you can update your devices. Don't use the removable medias. For doing safe browsing, you should use VPNs. And avoiding the human errors. You should not be talking any details or any different credentials to other person. Okay, so these kind of things that you should do, and these kind of things that can be done to you as a hacker, and you will be the victim for it, like social engineering, phishing, spear phishing for any personal or any individual, and smishing with the help of text, tailgating, piggybacking malwares, and the ransomware for the money, and the IoT threats with the help of IoT vulnerabilities. So these kind of scenarios, it can occur when you are not very careful. Yes, and now if you are having any question, you can unmute your mic and I will entertain them.
Sir, hello.
Yes.
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि अभी रिसेंटली जस्ट लाइक अभी मतलब रशिया और उसमें वॉर चल रहा है यूक्रेन में, तो रिसेंटली यूएस प्रेसिडेंट की तरफ से एक सर्कुलेट हुआ था मैसेज कि एक साइबर अटैक हो सकता है रशिया से. तो दीज काइंड ऑफ सेंसिटिव इंफॉर्मेशन हाउ दे मॉनिटर, मतलब मेरे अगर, क्योंकि बिकॉज ऑल डीलिंग्स आर थ्रू द डीप वेब और डार्क वेब, तो हाउ दे विल मॉनिटर दीज एक्टिविटीज? दैट इज माय क्वेश्चन.
सपोज कीजिए कि अभी मैंने बताया कि जो आपका डार्क वेब और डीप वेब वाला जो कंटेंट है आपका 96% है. एम आई करेक्ट? सो फॉर द 96%, सपोज कीजिए कि any organization having like drug scenarios case or red room cases or some kind of classified information cases, so आप इतनी ज्यादा ट्रैफिक को मॉनिटर नहीं कर सकते हो, क्योंकि these kind of services are decentralized. जैसे कि आपका बिटकॉइन है, ठीक है, क्रिप्टो करेंसी का कॉन्सेप्ट ही आपका डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड है. वहां पे कोई पर्टिकुलर उसका ओनर नहीं होता. ओके, सो विद द हेल्प ऑफ डेटा माइनिंग, they can create the bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, something like that, and they are now decentralized. तो सबसे पहले जब आपका डीप क्रिएट किया गया था, तो इसका जो पर्सपेक्टिव था वो सिक्योर कम्युनिकेशन के लिए था, और इसको इस तरह से बनाया गया था कि कोई पर्टिकुलर इसे जो है यूज ना करे और कोई पर्टिकुलर इसे ओन ना करे फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ सिक्योरिटी. बट अभी के जो है करंट सिनेरियो में सबसे ज्यादा आपका जो अनकंट्रोल्ड इन्वायरमेंट है, अनमॉनिटर्ड एक्टिविटीज जो होती हैं वो होती है 96% में आपके डीप वेब में. ठीक है, गवर्नमेंट मॉनिटर कर पाती है, बट हर जगह पे डिफरेंट सिक्योरिटीज हैं, डिफरेंट आपके वेंडर्स हैं. ठीक है, और इनकी सर्विसेज में आप देखोगे तो डिफरेंट कंट्रीज में पर्टिकुलर जगहों पे जहाँ पे एक्सेसिबिलिटी ज्यादा है, ठीक है, सर्विसेज कम है, इस तरह से वो मॉनिटर नहीं कर पाते सारी चीजों को, क्योंकि वो एबल नहीं है, और गवर्नमेंट्स के पास उतनी हाईटेक में भी मॉनिटरिंग सर्विसेज और एजेंसीज ना हो जो मॉनिटर कर सकते हैं. अभी एफबीआई ने भी कुछ बस्टिंग की है इस तरह से ड्रग केसेस में. ठीक है, सो ऑल द थिंग्स हैपन बिहाइंड द शैडो, बट और ऐसा नहीं है कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इसमें हिस्सा नहीं लेती. ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का भी इसमें अगर बेनिफिट होता है तो वो भी इसमें पार्ट, उनका भी एक पार्ट होता है अपना. जैसे कि कोई कंट्री कहती है कि दे विल बी फाइटिंग अ वॉर विथ अस, means they are getting a benefit from any cyber terrorist group. So these kind of things are happening all time, and you have to be aware, like जिसको भी पर्टिकुलर आइडिया नहीं है कि किस तरह से आपको एक्सेस करना है, कैसे आपको एनोनिमस रहना है, या क्या सर्विसेज हमें यूज करनी चाहिए, उस पर्टिकुलर पर्सन को इस तरह की सर्विसेज एक्सेस नहीं करनी चाहिए. ठीक है, और अगर आप इस तरह से फॉर द लर्निंग एंड फॉर द एजुकेशन पर्पस अगर आप एक्सेस कर भी रहे हो, मॉनिटर कर रहे हो, ठीक है, तो उसमें आपको आपकी जो पर्सनल आइडेंटिटीज है, क्रेडेंशियल्स आपको पुट नहीं करना चाहिए, और आपको वहाँ पे अपनी इंफॉर्मेशन कोई भी जैसे बैंकिंग डिटेल्स है, इस तरह से कोई भी इंफॉर्मेशन आपको पुट नहीं करनी चाहिए, और आपको जो है प्रॉपर वीपीएन्स और टॉप ब्राउजर्स यूज करने चाहिए. सो दैट इज माय रिकमेंडेशन फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू. If you are not expert in these kind of things, so you should not be using. Anyone else? And we will also be discussing IT Act that has been created by the Constitution of India. Okay, IT Act में आज डिस्कस नहीं करूंगा, आपके IT Act भी डिस्कस होंगे अभी फर्दर सेशंस में कि इंडिया में क्या क्या प्रोविजंस हैं इस तरह के अटैक्स और सर्विसेज को लेके, ठीक है, कि वहां पे आप किस तरह का अटैक अगर होता है इस तरह से कैसे उनको जो है प्रोसिक्यूट करना है, परस्यू करना है. Any other questions? Anyone else? Anyone? And if you are more interested in these kind of things, you can go search like emerging concept of e-society. This is my paper written by me. Okay, you can find it on the internet. Emerging concept of e-society. I have explained some basic things like what is actual privacy is and what is the domain of the cyber world and all the things. So you can get a better understanding if you want to read further. Okay, so if there are no questions, then I will bind the session. Thank you today. Yes, thank you all.